Either. I'm really doubtful whether these riots in the US at the moment and the UK are real. And especially the ones in the US, which have immediately been branded as racial riots. 500 youth roaming around, beating on white people. Well, of course, it's not black on white violence, it's poor on rich or poor on comfortable violence. Because of course you know from the statistics you can see that the average middle-aged person that's well-to-do and comfortable enough to go to fairs and all that stuff, and this is actually a fair with cows, and so they're farmers, they're wealthy. If they have a business, they must be wealthy, and you know, they have all. It's a totally different group, demographic group than the black youth, which has almost no chance of making it. At least that's the image that you get portrayed all the time. I mean, if you're young these days, you go through puberty, you end up in your 20s, you try to be a student. You're in 26, you're in debt. You have to work as hard as possible, or you don't get that opportunity, and you're actually in some kind of black neighborhood which doesn't get much help other than supply of drugs, courtesy the state, because it's all gotten from Afghanistan and shipped to the US under the watchful eye of the soldiers, you know, just to keep the banks going. You have nothing. You have no income. Only if you go like Istanbul style, you start hacking in your garage and finding things, or you prostitute yourself, like not, it's like a harsh word, but basically as a woman you try to look like Rihanna or behave like her. Maybe you can sing, maybe you're a guy, you can sing. You know, what other options are there? You know, law school, engineering, with these high schools where you kind of when you're in school and the teacher says, you know, if you want 5 plus 5 to be 11, then I can understand that. This is complete softness. It's a complete disabling of the younger generation. And the irony is, of course, that a 20-year-old should be in charge. It sounds really weird. You go like, it's impossible, these economic theories, you can never understand the complexity of the world. Well, first of all, you make the world less complex, and second of all, yes, he can understand. But you haven't taught him yet, because you have delayed teaching. And you have, you know, made sure that teaching sucks. Or let's say, on average, of course. But you're not the most energetic, strong, and vital, and etc. and irresponsible when you're 20-something, 18-something years old for nothing. It's because you're supposed to take over. You're supposed to challenge authority and then defeat it. Now, this is a little bit backwards. I also understand that. So that's why we have culture, where you have parents handing over possessions to children, teaching them, caring for them, doing all that stuff. And the banks got in between, so the children now are supposed to get mortgages, and the parents don't care about it. They're actually afraid of these generations, are sometimes afraid of each other, of what they will grab from each other. And of course, these black youth that are violent, they don't have all that. Maybe. But so it's poor against comfortable, and it's unprivileged against privileged, and it's unfairly treated against fairly treated, and of course this is what the conservatives want. They are waiting for this. They're waiting for the riots to start. They don't give a damn. Why? Well, because if there are riots, it's an opportunity to weed out the people that you find scary and punish them under the cover of a big riot. You're rich, so you're always secure. You go somewhere where you're safe. You wait until it's over. People will be killing each other and destroying each other's property. That's economical opportunity, and it of course elevates you very easily. So you know, if once you're above it, you keep rising. You know, as long as you keep people in a miserable state. That's not a normal mindset, but that's like the medieval mindset. That's the mindset of many people. They say, well, you know, of these rich conservative people, they gather the money. They say, okay, well, I'll be safe. I'll be on the Maldives waiting until the riot's over. Then I'll come back and maybe take charge. But maybe I won't come back. Maybe I'll have some servants on the Maldives. Who cares? I don't care. I'm already rich. I can buy everything, and then I can trade on the stock market. That's one of the big things. The stock market, stock exchange, financial world, in some form or another has to continue, and that's why you have to move to gold and maybe real markets. Will have marginal benefits, but the biggest benefits would be if this ownership class would be disintegrated completely. But and then there's another place where there's riots, there's of course London. And I saw this report, it's really suspicious. And simply because this reporter is explaining that, well, no, they broke this wall, which is quite, and they broke into this pharmacy and they took out the cash register, they threw it in the river, and there's really nothing we can do about it. This happens here and there, and it's undetectable, and we cannot go after it, and it's too bad. But they're destroying whole parts of villages. They're roaming troops of vandals now. And they're called anarchists, they are of course not anarchists, because most people haven't heard of the whole idea of anarchists. And some anarchists have, but I don't trust that. I don't think it's true at all. I think there is, if you keep in the back of your mind those riots in Spain where you get the police in shorts with a backpack and black t-shirt climbing out of the truck, standing by the side of the riots, participating, and then going back into the truck later, being debriefed from being a rioter. It's not sad that you cannot prove that these are the real people from the UK, from the region, especially when they're roaming around. So what the actual report would have to do would try to find them, ask them questions, find the motivations, and get some answers. There is a reason, I think, to revolt, which is that there is no solutions on offer. There's actually really, in the UK, there's maybe marginally, maybe there's some marginal progress in keeping renewable implementations out of the hand of big finance, into the hand of the local solar panel salesmen and etc. But it's marginal and it's way too late. And the island is already running out of gas. Literally, there was a gas company that the state wanted to tax in order, of course, to have more gas for itself, be able to buy it. And then it said, well, we'll close this gas field. But it's all very suspicious. And it's all, and it's US and the UK. It is not an organized riot to do with austerity, as far as I can see. In the UK it seems to have to do with random violence of the police, which is not proven. And what you get is, of course, these police saying, okay, we can do nothing. Oh, there goes another window, there goes another shop, oh, there goes another street. Oh, these vandals are so horrible, we can't really catch them, we're completely incapable of doing that. Of course we have an army that is capable of a lot. So let's ask for a state of emergency. And who knows what happens then? People have to ask for that. So what the police can do is sit back and say, well, this job is way too hard for me. I'm not going to fight rioters, come from nowhere. Even though I have a car, I have cameras, mobile phones, and I have a whole network, and I can observe them everywhere where they go, because there's cameras all around the UK. I'm not going to go after them until people ask for a state of emergency, and then we'll just take the tank and roll right over them. Or they'll disappear. But we have the state of emergency for security reasons. I'm impartial on this. I'm in Holland. I think that I should be very glad. There's some other things that I can be unhappy about, but we are the gas hub of the world. This is very, very paradoxical. I'm being, this country is reasonably secure, well off, because it's dependent for a large part on production using gas, and it has very good connections in that respect. It's a bad thing for the environment, but it causes people like me to exist. People that have lots of time to investigate and read about all kinds of stuff and do kinds of stuff. I think there should be alternatives, and I'm actually working very hard on that. But there you go. I'm not in England. I'm not in Spain. I'm not in Italy. I'm not in Greece. I'm in Holland. That may suck in some opinions, with it some perspective. The bad thing about this whole situation is that there's really no solution, because if you are not aggressive it will progress, and if you are aggressive, it will progress. It is like what I sometimes use as an example is you have something that's on the edge of the table, but it's just out of reach, and you're stretching to reach it, and then you touch it and you push it away a little bit further, and then you try again. And if the response format or the response structure is right, you'll never win. So people keep quiet, they're not in the picture, their opinion is not being heard. People rise up and say, well, this is ridiculous, this is aggressive. Are you an anarchist too? Maybe we should put you on a list and review you, interview you somewhere or something like that. Or maybe move you to another part of town where we have put all the anarchists. No, you cannot do it. Oh, you're an anarchist. That's the way it can go. And if you have that type of structure, you better I say keep quiet, and I guess if you have, like, this is like movie scenario, but if you have a country where it's like that, the rebellion is on. You have a foreign government occupying your territory. You're not free to do whatever you want. You have no ability to improve your life. You have no ability to get your renewables, to have life which is unlimited in wealth, in theory. No, you're supposed to, let's say, die in the mud. Why? You weren't the perpetrator. You were maybe the benefactor, but not of any other's labor, but of gas and oil and stuff came out of the ground. It's not your crime. So there's really only one reason to do all this nonsense, and that is because there's a power structure that has a plan which is contrary to one of caring. A plan that is about, that is about an elite that keeps itself safe and a mass that is just fucked. And be very prudent about if that really is the case. You know, I'm talking scenarios. If that really is the case, you have to be really prudent about your response. Because I personally think that we should be very prudent, very careful, because I want to have an opportunity to put things right. Let's say in the next 15 years, and when all the financial mayhem is over and all these institutions have disappeared and we may have a gold standard or whatever not, I don't really care. I want to see a world where there is an effort made to put things right, really, seriously, structurally, fundamentally, and just as a matter of fact. Because it is possible, and the world you're putting together, if you do that, it's going to be there forever. So that's, I think, maybe a minor positive note on the end of this video. I'll link to the video of the report in Britain. I think it's a little bit fishy.